Hello, welcome. Thanks for coming out. Today we have Kristen Akbar, um, and we're here to discover the inspiring tale of her personal triumph over adversity and the incredible transformations she has undergone on her path to sobriety. Kristen Akbar is an Army veteran, mother of two, and graduate of Mid-State Technical College. And she has written a book, Recovery is My True Blessing. And she is here to talk about that. If you could all give her a warm welcome, she'll get it.
Hi, everyone. Um, that's pretty cool, coming that far and everything. First of all, I want everyone to know that anything I say here is not to intend harm. It is to help encourage, inspire, give hope, and to also make sure that we are, as we stated earlier today, punching stigma in the face. So, that being said, I would like to start with something that I hold pretty dear to me. This is my journal here in front of me, but there's a quote on here that has really encouraged me to keep going. I've heard this multiple times, and it's by Danielle Koch. So, you were created to do good work that empowers and inspires, liberates and transforms, restores and softens. Yes, work can be hard, as it's meant to be. The verb itself calls us into action, rejecting passivity and demanding sustained effort. It provokes, agitates, and disturbs. But this work, the call for justice, is good work. It defends the oppressed and frees the captive. It tears down walls and destroys barriers. It changes things, so when you are feeling weary or hopeless or spent, remind yourself that the darkness is being flooded by the marvelous light. Yes, this is good work, and it is good. This has really helped me write my story. Some have really been challenging. This book took me a little over a year to kind of dig through everything and sort out what I felt was best to put in here to help encourage others on their journey. Recovery is a process of growth. It's not meant to be stunted. It's not meant to be held into a higher standard. It's whatever that person's pathway is their true desire. And if they're willing to go with it through it with you, instead of for you, that's even more powerful. So I'll start with just a little bit of what I wrote here. As I stated, the conversation we're having tonight is not to intend harm. What is recovery? Recovery to me, it was a blessing. A blessing as we know it that comes in all shapes and sizes, different capacities and abilities. I, for one, did not know any of them when I first started. This all seemed really challenging coming back home. With each step I took in recovery, and blessings formed and built a foundation in which I continue to thrive and conduct myself accordingly in. My path wasn't always so clear or smooth. It took years, which I am truly grateful for. Though I had various obstacles, such as thoughts of suicide and overdosing, and then getting treatment for my mental health challenges, and then some. Looking at my children, knowing that they expected more of me and I expected more of myself, but not knowing exactly what to do with that. Looking back has never been hard for me because I know exactly what it's taught me for my present and my future, even though those are both unclear day to day. I struggle daily. That's never affected me. I've had this since a child. I've always been known as a survivor type, even though I still don't know what that means. I'm embraced by several adversities that I have yet to endure, but I am hopeful that with my attitude, my determination, and my commitment to my truest self, that I will continue to have true blessings and a sense of self. In writing this book, it challenged me to understand that not only am I still going through the recovery, but I want to continue doing it, no matter what that looks like. My kids push me, which sometimes they shove me. They won't say that, but I will, because I can. I'm mom. The other challenges I've faced have been very wary. There's loss, there's stress, there's frustrations, there's hopelessness, but I still somehow faced them all with a smile on my face and said, bring it on. Nobody knew exactly what I was going through. I didn't know how to tell them. I felt disappointed in myself and ashamed when I got back home. Nobody knew what that felt like but me. For me not saying anything, it became more challenging, and that weight got so heavy that I turned to substance. Not knowing what that would do to me, it did cause a lot of problems. The first few chapters of my book explain that. The troubles, the struggles, the feelings I had, the commitment that I didn't have either. The commitment to myself for that struggle still kind of hits me every once in a while. Why does this always happen? Why am I always the person struggling? Nobody else is struggling like this. Those are lies I kept telling myself. In the years to come, I've learned over the last few chapters in reading my book again, because it's a good read, understanding the fact that I have overcame all of these obstacles with little to no success. And I say that because I'm still learning from all of those experiences today. I challenge myself daily with my thoughts, my feelings, and just like to be a challenge. These days have really become more of a blessing than I could ever imagine. The picture of the daisy that is on here represents the spring because everything comes back in a different form. I choose the daisy because it represents some holding on to that I would like to continue to hold on to, such as the wisdom from my grandparents who are in this book. The wisdom that I've taken from them was to keep going. I chose the colors black and white because that's who I am. There's some gray matter in there if you look. It's spots on my brain that I can't control. These are part of the illness that I have. I have a rare condition called somatic complex PTSD, and I'm learning to live with it. It's not easy, but it's there. The pink, well, that's because of my girls. The words, "Recovery is my true blessing," spoke profoundly to me that day when I was looking at what to put as a title. I've always heard recovery, and I've always heard blessing, but I've never heard the word true. I wanted to become the truest form of myself, and in doing so, I became the truest form of me, being honest with myself through my struggles, through my challenges, and also facing those obstacles. Going into advocacy, as we all know, is a very strong word, but I choose to hold that badge proudly. Through all the coalition work that I've done over the past, 10 years, we'll say, give or take, that has truly brought me to my greatest foundation ever, which is community. I wouldn't have been in this community had it not been for those pushing and saying, hey, you got this. Sometimes saying I got this can also lead to some struggles, because sometimes I have a hard time saying no. And if you're in recovery like me, no is a challenging word in itself. No, I don't feel adequate today. No, I'm not enough. These things kept rambling through my head and throughout the chapters of this book. Is this enough? Is 37 pages enough? Is what I say going to be enough? Then I stopped myself and said, this isn't for you anymore. This is for others. Others need to know that they're not alone. And in that's where that powerful word true came in. I became very true with the words that I wrote in this book. I became very true within the way that I speak it now. It is very much a true story, unfortunately, but it's mine, and I am very grateful for those blessings. Sometimes mental health can come in various forms as we all know it. Some of them you can see and some of them you cannot. That's okay. It's our truest form. If we speak to those that we know that are within our community, you'll see us smile and not know that we have something going on. I encourage you to ask, how's your day going? And if they say fine, challenge their fine. If they say I'm okay, well, we all know what that word means. You're not okay. But that's all right if you just want to sit there in silence. I did that many times, but I didn't know how else to speak for help. It's okay when that person is seeking that help. I encourage you to encourage them to seek it if you must. My suicide thoughts were ramping, very much on blast. What that means is that I was ready, willing, and able to do it at any point in time, which is very scary to think about, but it's true. I don't have those thoughts anymore. I do challenge myself every day not to go for the stuff that I was addicted to at one point in time, which were pain pills. Everyone knows about them. Everybody knows where you can get some, and that's very challenging, especially when I've had a lot of health conditions. The worst one was when I had to face these things by myself and really not wanting to challenge anybody but myself. Try to make the cuts a little deeper. Maybe this time you'll go. Take a few more pills. Last time wasn't enough. Through all those struggles, I ended up harming myself in a way that I can't take back. My kids suffered from that as well. I speak to them now very truthfully and carefully in the way that I say things to them as well. They know that they've had a mom that has been through some really challenging things in her life. They also know that she's very strong and courageous. Is that the military in me? Probably not. Let's just face facts. Sometimes they build people to break them down, or sometimes they just leave them there. Not all of us come back so smoothly, so pinstriped like our uniforms. Some of us are behind those uniforms hiding who we truly are. For some reason, I decided to break through all of those barriers with one fail thing, my recovery. No one expected me to succeed in this. I really don't think anybody can say these things to certain people, and or anyone for that matter. As I stated before, looking back has taught me a lot, more than I can ever put into words. These things are fast and the furious, as my daughter would say. They are now grown, and they expect a lot more from me. I expect a lot more from myself. But I do the daily self-care. I motivate myself by doing these things, and I always make sure I set boundaries. And the boundaries that I laid once before, well, they were more like ditches. You get stuck, you're stuck. Sometimes we ask for that help or that handout once in a while, but we feel like a burden other times. We've all had these feelings. We've all had grief. We've all had happiness. We've all had joy. I choose to stay in those realms because they were easy to maneuver. There's a section in my book where I talk about a chaos that I created and thought in which I could live in. I was living a double life at that point in time. Kind of felt like a movie star. Not. I was really, really challenging, was lying, was manipulating my friends and my family, was just, well, chaos. Trying to expect the same outcome by doing something different, that's a little weird. I'm a little weird, but that's a little weird for me. Going to midnight clubs, popping pills, living the life of what a 20-something girl should do, maybe not. Going into various places that were extremely dangerous and extremely risky. Not knowing if I was coming back. Not really caring if I came back. Sometimes I put forefront on what really happened back then, but I can't. Some of those gray spots stay. I'm now choosing to initiate the gray spots. After writing this book, I learned that even the gray matter matters too. It's not just black and white anymore. Sometimes going through what we call a kaleidoscope of problems, they all kind of focus on one thing: you. If you're able to voice what's going on, if you're able to share with someone what's going on, I encourage you to continue doing so, or start. That gray matter will sneak up on you when you least expect it. Sometimes it's very ugly, and sometimes it's a beautiful blessing. I had many blessings from my gray matter. I think sometimes on how this could be encouraging to other people. Don't really know how to get the words out. That's in the next book. This has also taught me to having this recovery community. What does that look like for everyone? I don't know. But for me, it's the abundance of love, support, and kindness, such as you guys are showing here tonight. Taking a leap of faith and seeing what can really be done within our societies, within our families, within ourselves, to truly embrace your own true blessings of which you have talents for. I'm not sure what those talents are. I wasn't sure of mine either. I'm still learning. Learning is an opportunity of growth as well. So I'll keep that in mind for the next one. Recovery is a process of growth. My growth is not done yet, even though my height says I am. Sometimes I think about those various conversations from the people that I've had over the last 10 years. Well, I've been clean for 18 as of May. Wow, 18. It's quite a tremendous amount. My daughter just turned 18 last year. A lot has begun to come to light, and I am so truly grateful. My attitude towards gratitude has definitely made a different pathway for me. I've been a part of many conversations, such as the storytellers, and then also part of NAMI. Now I am a chairperson of the Southwood County Cultural Coalition. I'm also a recovery coach and a peer specialist, and I've been doing the good work, as I stated earlier. Even though there's darkness, there's always a way to the light. You may not know how to get there yourself, but you don't have to get there yourself. There's many people and many opportunities to seek, if you so choose to seek. It's okay to take your time. I know I did. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Yep, there was a 4th. I keep looking back at all these things. Did I underestimate myself? Probably. But who was I? I had no idea. I keep seeking the sober person in me because she's defiant on all aspects. She's never underestimated, and she goes with grace. Sometimes that may come brutal. Other times that may come in the form of a blessing to others. By sharing my story, I hope you guys are able to feel some sense of hope, encouragement, endless realm of an embrace to your own blessings. I have committed myself to this work because it is good work. I have a passion for it now. That was my purpose. I encourage you all to seek your purpose and see what you tend to bring to the table. As my grandma said, there's always room at the table. It's just what you bring that matters. I didn't know what I brought to the table, but I mattered. And maybe that's all that we need, is to be shown that we matter. So please be kind to yourselves when reading my story, for it is my story. I show empathy to others that have been in through this situation as such as I have. I will always be an ally, and I will always be there for those in the community. Thank you. And I think if I heard Colin right, we can do Q&A if you so choose. So thank you all very much for coming. Your love, support, and kindness is truly in abundance to me, and I look forward to having conversations. Sure.
At what point did you know you were kind of ready to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it was kind of shortly after I had parenting classes. Um, as something that I chose to do for myself, I wanted to be a better mother for my children. Um, and I remember having the pills in my hand, wanting to complete suicide. And at that moment, I realized, like, this isn't the way to be doing this. And so moving forward with that, I ended up trying to find out what my illness was at first, because I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was there, causing problems. I knew I had an addiction problem, but I was very scared to say that I had one because it wasn't as talked about. But I would say when I had the conversation with my physician and letting her know that I was pill seeking at that time, and she introduced me to the treatment center that I went to. So, yeah. Did you have a question?
Could you talk a little bit about your process of healing from your trauma?
Yeah, so my trauma was very horrific, I would say, in a sense that it caused a lot of ricochet in my brain, so to speak, if we're keeping with the terms. I have what's called complex somatic PTSD, and what that means is that my body somatically and neurologically responds to what had happened in the past, which is in my book to some extent. And so with that meaning, from the nightmares that I have, I get the bruising, I get the swelling, I get the thinking that these individuals are still there even though they're not. Sometimes my mind plays tricks and makes me think that I'm back overseas. I was stationed in South Korea, so you can just imagine like the different smells and tastes and things like that that I endured over there. Those things come back. So a part of my healing process that I did with that is I educated myself on what it was that I have. The second thing was to try to find the best medicine that worked best for it. Safe to say, not a lot. And also finding what therapy worked best. Currently, right now, like I said, I'm still learning. I'm looking into what's called brain spotting now to kind of help with this gray matter business.
Have you ever done any of the somatic body practices, like the dysregulation in order to become regulated? Have you worked with all of that?
Yeah, so it happens in my sleep. So a lot of the time, there's only been like one other time that it's happened like during the day, and that was like almost directly after the assault happened. But most of the time, it's either triggered by a smell that I'm just not aware of at the time. For example, I went out with a group of friends a couple years ago for my birthday, and it was just the way that somebody sounded, and I instantly blacked out. So I have found different coping mechanisms like hard sternum rubs, having me be outside, touching the grass because that's not in a tile bathroom, saying where I am, who I am, those kind of things. So I have kind of built up a coping ladder, so to speak, when things like that happen. I've had a lot of sleep tests. They kind of freak the people out, the techs, because it looks like Freddy Krueger in a way. Nightmare on Elm Street. That's actually a thing. So, and that's pretty much what I have, unfortunately. So, and the brain spotting is supposed to be helpful with that. I've tried acupuncture. I've tried hypnotherapy. I've tried EMDR. Just speaking about it, laying on the couch, and just saying, hey, this is what happened in full detail. But there again, some of that's missing because of the concussion that I ended up with for 3 months. So that's the tricky part. Mm-hmm. Did you have a question? Do you have another one?
Yeah, so, I mean, you've set some goals and you're doing a number of different things right now. Do you have some bucket list goals in recovery for yourself and also like things you'd like to do that would reach out to other people?
Yeah. So the question was, do I have any more big time goals towards my recovery? And yes, I do. I actually am working on a second book. I would kind of like to make it a series, per se, kind of like my journey through everything. And then the second thing is to start my own business as a consultant, as a peer specialist and recovery coach, and do public speaking about it, because I think the more the public knows, the more awareness that they have, the more education that they could get towards anyone that has a mental illness and or substance use disorder is important. So, yeah. And then also to fly a plane. I don't know if that qualifies, but I think it'd be pretty cool.
Are you originally from this area?
Good question. So I was born and raised for a portion of my life in Beloit, Wisconsin, but I actually graduated from Pittsville. So, yeah. Left right out of high school. And actually, my best friend is sitting in this row in the red hat. So, yeah. Lots of friends and family here, which is why I got a part of the coalitions as well. It started with the Mental Health Matters, and then that kind of branched out into all these other avenues that I've been a part of since 2013. I started going to the clubhouses here. There's one here, there's one in Stevens Point, and then also in Marshfield. And kind of fast-tracked, as one of the audience knows, to becoming a board member, like not even like 2 weeks being in there. So I really strive to learn more and be more. As my father would say, I was always a kid of more. So I wanted to know more, be more, and have access to more. So, and I kind of still carry that with me to an extent, but then I also have to learn to say no. So I'm still learning.
For people who want to get involved in the giving to others out of their own place and space, what do you recommend in terms of where they can go or where opportunities for the giving back and doing more part for other people?
I would say, as far as like giving back as in the community, like volunteering, I started at the clubhouse actually, and then NAMI was the second thing I went into. I went into peer-to-peer support services, and then I went into holding with another person mental health facilitation groups through NAMI. Otherwise, the Wood County Health Department has a lot of things to get involved in through the Mental Health Matters and the Healthy People of Wood County. They have a lot of good, committees, groups, I don't know. There's quite a bit here. So, and all I did was just ask a question like, what do I got to do to get in? And that was pretty much it. You're in. So, yeah. And they're very welcoming. So. Did you have one?
I've known you for 25 years.
Yes. It's a long time.
Did you bring any extra copies of the book?
I did. I brought quite a few. So they are for sale for what they are on Amazon. So that's been a question. I do have some copies here, but I also have it on Amazon. It is an ebook as well as a paperback. So this is the book. It's got a weird picture of me on the back, but the daisy's here, as I was talking about. The colors are here, the pink, the white, and the gray, and the black. So, yeah, so when we're ready to go, we can go ahead and I can have side conversations and sign a book or two. You back? Oh, hey. All right. All right. So if there's no more questions, I will go ahead and get set up to where we can get to know each other a little bit more and sign away. Thank you.